And FanDuel Sportsbook is about to make it even bigger. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers 30 to 1 odds on either team to win. That's right. New customers get 30 to 1 odds on either Kansas City or Baltimore to win this Sunday. That means you can end the weekend right by winning $150 on a $5 bet. Why not see for yourself why FanDuel is America's #1 sportsbook? New customers, just sign up with promo code Hennig this Sunday before the Chiefs take on the Ravens, and you could win $150 on a $5 bet. Remember to use promo code Hennig when you sign up on FanDuel Sportsbook's app. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey. New users only. $10 first deposit required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max bonus $150. Restrictions apply. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
South Jersey's play-by-play home for the Eagles,
touchdown!
Sixers,
and
Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station. This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Now, Sports Bash Saturday. Here's Josh Hennig.
Yes, Sports Bash Saturday is actually on the air here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank in Sea City. Yes, I'm actually on the air here in the studio, but we're actually not even on for a full show. We're actually on for till about like 1:25-ish. We got Notre Dame football coming up at 1:30 here on 97.3 ESPN. But I am here to hang out with you guys. Hopefully we can keep the text board messages rolling because we got a ton of texts, people predicting the game on Billy Schweim shows. Just to let you know, if we didn't read your text on Billy Schweim show, you are qualified already as long as you put the score, passing yards for Hurts, the whole 9 yards, you're good to go. But I'm still hanging out with you guys. We got to talk about the Eagles, breaking news that came down just about 20 minutes ago. Also, I'll give you the latest on the Eagles 49ers matchup, review some of my picks for NFL, and I'll keep you updated on the college football games. And by the way, most of my college football picks today are later in the day. So if anybody missed some of my analysis for the college football games today, earlier today, I can get it to you. Yesterday's show, I can get it to you today. Of course, all those picks are brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Text board 609-403-0973. You also get a direct message to show through the 973 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea City. And as always, we are live on YouTube and Twitter. You can watch the show and join the conversation. So before we start breaking down the Eagles 49ers game specifically and the other NFL and college football games, I got to get you. Here it is. Breaking Eagles news. Josh Sweat is getting a contract extension. Yes. So those of you who may or may not remember, a little under the radar, the Eagles reshuffled Fletcher Cox's contract. And part of the reason why they reshuffled his contract was to take money off of the salary cap for the next couple of years. And as a result, taking the money off of the salary cap for the next couple of years allows the Eagles to re-sign guys like Josh Sweat. So what do you got? You got Josh Sweat getting $26 million guaranteed over 3 years, up to $43 million in potential earnings on the contract. And what makes this significant is this is another example of the Eagles trying to be proactive and not reactive. Like when they signed Jordan Mailata, they want to lock up these guys before they get too big, before the player and the agent can go in and demand too much. Because one, you take care of somebody ahead of time, it shows them how much you appreciate them. And you showing the player, listen, I believe in you. I know you're going to be good for the next 3-4 years. So I'm investing in you now. Second of all, it saves you money long term because Jordan Mailata and Josh Sweat, their potential is much greater than the money they were just given. Think about it. if Mailata plays up to his potential, he could maybe be an all-pro left tackle one day. At worst, he could be a perennial Pro Bowler if he plays up to his potential. And you got him on a deal that makes him basically a middle-of-the-road starting left tackle in the NFL. And Josh Sweat, who has been very vocal on social media. Okay, Josh Sweat, for those who don't know, anytime anybody in the Eagles media brings up his injury history, he loses it on social media. I'm healthy. I'm fine. I'm past the knee injuries. And I mean, I love the confidence, but we can't talk about a player's full history and not mention his injuries. I mean, come on, Josh Sweat. I know you and I got the same name, but Josh is telling Josh to chill. All right. But seriously, like, Sweat is very insistent that he is in the best shape of his life, that he's past all the knee issues that he has had in the past. And if he can stay healthy, this dude's a stud. This dude has got freakish length, freakish athleticism. The reason why he was drafted so late in the draft was because of the injuries he had in high school and college. People forget he was injured before he ever got to Florida State. And then he got injured again at Florida State. So there were a lot of NFL teams that were evaluating him and saying, listen, we don't know if this guy's going to be healthy in the NFL. Because when it comes to injuries, don't forget, there are two kinds of injuries that athletes get before the age of 25. There's the injuries you get that are a part of growing pains. You know, your body is still growing and developing, and you get injured, and the body, because it's still growing and developing, it can recover from those injuries easier long term. There's the other injuries that are the byproduct of just things going wrong, right? You stepped the wrong way, someone banged into you, something that's unforeseen, right? If you have an injury, and this is based on medical science, okay? If you have an injury that is part of your growing pains, it's easier to have long-term recovery and productivity. And Josh Sweat's contention is that he had the injuries very young and they were not holding him back in his development and his growth. And it seems to be the Eagles believe that too. And that's why they gave him this contract, $26.3 million guaranteed. So you have two of your best young freak athletes locked up for the next several years. Sweat's for 3 more years, Mailata's for 4 more years. And as former Eagles and Browns executive Joe Banner put out on Twitter just a couple minutes ago, he says these two deals the Eagles did are absolute steals. I can't even imagine what the agent player is thinking. Agents in some cases seem to have not noticed players are coming off major injuries for the last 6+ years, have been paid in full before getting back on the field. Now, interesting point by Banner. But I think Banner, for his great insight, and he's a very smart guy. He's been around the league for 20+ years before he went to ESPN and became an analyst. I think Joe Banner is neglecting one thing. Why did TJ Watt get the contract done before the season with the Steelers? Because TJ Watt walked into the Steelers front office and told them, we're getting a deal done. I don't want this to be a distraction. I don't care about getting the biggest contract ever. I want this deal done and over with. And I think that there's a part of players now, because of the uncertainty in the world we live in, because of the pandemic, because of the fact that a lot of players are concerned about the financial viability short term, not just long term. They want to get their money. They want to save it. They want to invest it so that they don't have to worry about playing for the next contract. Some guys are not concerned about getting maximum money. Some guys are more concerned about getting guaranteed money. And I think for guys like Mailata and Sweat, two guys who people were just not sure what they would be in the NFL. Sweat because of the injuries he was coming off of, and Mailata never played football in his life before he was drafted by the Eagles. I think for both of them, They said, look, if I can lock up my financial situation now with guaranteed money, I don't have to worry about that. It's not a distraction to me. It's not a distraction to the team. And like TJ Watt said, I didn't want this hanging over my head. And I think it's a huge reason why this deal got done. And look at Josh Sweat. Okay? Think about it this way. At his age, the young man is 24 years old. 3+ years from now, he's going to be 27, 28 as a free agent. Is that supposed to be the prime of your career, right? He's not losing money on the market. He's guaranteeing money now. Guess what? When he turns 27 and 28 and he hits free agency, or he could hit free agency, he can go cash in then. And who knows what his situation will be then? Who knows if he has a catastrophic injury 3 years from now? Maybe by the time that contract is done, he gets injured like the last day of the final year of that contract he just signed. Then what happens? If you're playing for the next contract, you lose money. I think the Le'Veon Bell situation scared a lot of players and a lot of agents. May I remind you what happened with Le'Veon Bell? Le'Veon Bell told the Steelers, the money you're offering me is not good enough. I'm going to hold out for a year, and I'm going to re-hit the market. And the whole thing backfired on him. His entire career has gone to the dumps. He's on the Ravens practice squad, and he got usurped by Latavius Murray and Taysom Williams. Two dudes that if you would have asked me 3 years ago if I would have had Le'Veon Bell or Latavius Murray or Taysom Williams, I would have said, come on. Yeah, what? Le'Veon Bell, he might be the best running back in the NFL. But now it doesn't matter because Le'Veon Bell damaged his money-making ability and his reputation so poorly because he mismanaged the situation. I think that may have scared a group of players and agents to look for the immediate money over the big money. And for guys like Josh Sweat and Jordan Mailata, who are going to be not old when these extensions are done, they're both going to be about 28 years old. They both have birthdays in March, by the way. How weird is that, by the way? I just saw that. Wow. But both of them have birthdays in March. They're going to be both around 28 when these contracts are done. They can go back in the free agency and go get that next big contract if it works out. But for right now, they have the guaranteed money. So I think this is a win-win for everybody. It's a win for the Eagles. It's a win for the players. And I think that this is just a smart move by everybody involved to say, we don't want to have the worries. We don't want to have concerns. We just want to play football. Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. This hour of the show being brought to you by East Coast Roofing, Siding, and Windows, serving all of South Jersey. If you call, they'll show up. Visit them online at eastcoastroofing.com. So again, the breaking news that came out roughly about 25 minutes ago now, Josh Sweat, 3-year contract extension, can make up to $43 million, $26.3 million guaranteed according to ESPN sourcing from Adam Schefter and company. So it looks like the Sweat Mailata duo is going to be in Philadelphia, and the Eagles believe in them enough to give them that money up front. Let me know what you think about that, as well as your thoughts on the Eagles 49ers game tomorrow. With all your thoughts throughout the show, Josh Hennig hanging out with you on a Saturday edition. We'll keep you updated on the college football stuff. Right now, I got Cincinnati and Indiana on the TV in the studio. I told you guys yesterday I was riding with Cincinnati. The first 3 minutes of this game has been some of the ugliest football I've ever seen. I'm just keeping it real with you. This has been pathetic, garbage football. I've watched high school football games for the 5 years I called high school football every Friday night with 10 times the efficiency and the clarity of this game. I mean, they can't even get the play call right here. And they have a penalty. They couldn't get the play right. They were yelling at each other before the snap. This is so bad. for two high-level coaching staffs in Cincinnati and Indiana with coaches who demand clarity and efficiency and doing things the right way and, all that stuff, the penalties, the poor throws, the sloppy plays. Obviously, I made the pick because I thought that one team was going to win, but I don't even know if I want to watch this game anymore. Josh Hennig, I agree with you on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, you can direct message the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app while you listen to the show. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. We'll hear from you guys throughout the show. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. I'll be sure to run back with you my NFL picks for Sunday, my breakdown of the Eagles matchup, and, of course, I promised you guys early this week, speaking of college football, the news that came out earlier this week about USC, everyone I've heard analyze the situation, I'm ticked off. They're getting it wrong. They don't get it. And I'm going to explain why coming up as well on the show. 97.3 ESPN FM. Josh Hennig hanging out with you at Josh Hennig on Twitter.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. It's week 2 of the 2021 season. Tomorrow, hosting the 49ers at the Link.
First and 10, San Francisco at the 25. It's intercepted down the far sideline and in for an Eagles touchdown. Alex Singleton.
Pre-game coverage begins at noon. Maryland Mike called all the action starting at 1. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
Hey, Baldy here to tell you about a new team, EMT Solar Roofing and Solar Guardians. See, protecting the quarterback was my job in the NFL, and this team is here to protect your home and wallet by upgrading your roof with solar. Check out espnsolar.com for all your roofing and solar solutions. EMT and Solar Guardians, one click, one team, one solution. To start your solar journey, visit espnsolar.com.
New Jersey Secretary of Agriculture Doug Fisher here. Right now, we are in the height of the Jersey Fresh growing season. That means all your favorite ripe and flavorful Jersey Fresh fruits and vegetables are available now at your favorite market. Stay loyal to local Jersey Fresh.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and CLC. Of course, all of our football conversation being brought to you by the folks over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City. It's time to experience sports betting done right with live streaming games, food and beverage, self-service betting kiosks, and more. Get in on all the games you love at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's Hotel and Casino, Atlantic City. The retail sportsbook is conveniently located right off the boardwalk, featuring 5 betting windows, a large video wall, a sports ticker, 20 self-service betting kiosks, and various lounge seating. Get your game face on and score big this weekend when you bet at FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's, Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. We'll get to some of your guys' thoughts and comments here. Of course, we got a bunch of stuff coming in wherever you're consuming the show. Either you're driving in your car, you're listening on 97.3 ESPN mobile app, watching online. We're glad to have you guys on board the show today. Got a lot of stuff to get to here throughout that. Josh Hennig hanging out with you. Over on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, Calvin chimes in from Wildwood. Says, am I the only person who thinks Josh Sweat was a steal of the 2018 draft because he was projected as a first round before the college injury? I don't think you're the only one, Calvin. I just think that when it comes to Josh Sweat, he was a very unique situation. I think a lot of people when he was drafted believed that if he could live up to his potential before the injury, he could be very, very good. So I don't think you're the only one, but I think that it's something to remind people about, that this guy was a day 3 pick when he should have been a day 1 pick in the NFL draft if it wasn't for the injury. So now you're locking him up for multiple years. I think that it just says something. I think that there is value there to be had for a guy like that to be a part of your team. And Calvin, I think that, if Sweat stays healthy, if he doesn't have any serious issues, this is a young man that could be very good for a very long time for the Eagles, at least until he's 28, it looks like, because by then it looks like he'll be going out of his way to maybe hit free agency, and maybe there'll be a bidding war for him, and the Eagles got to decide, do they keep him, do they let him go? We'll find out. Good to hear from Calvin over on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. You can download the app for free from the Apple App Store or Google Play, thanks to First Bank of Sea City. Watching over on the video stream, Kay McDonald chimes in. This is time for those Eagles to take that L. Cade, it sounds like you're either an Eagles hater or you're somebody who has money on the other team. That's what I always say. To me, unless you're giving me a reason why you think the Eagles are going to lose a game, or any team is going to lose a game, okay? It's either because you have a personal bias against them or you have money going the other way. Those are the only reasons that I think you could be saying that. So unless you're going to come on here and give me more than that, Cade, then I'm just going to dismiss you. But thanks for watching. Thanks for chiming in. The blanket statements are just that. Let's see here. Steven wants to ask about the Phillies. I'll get to that really quick. Phillies, I mentioned on Twitter, the Phillies are staying in the NL East. They're keeping it interesting. They're forcing you to not ignore them. And it's hard for me, folks. It's hard because to me, this is football season. And it's been so long since the Phillies have been legitimately competitive. And now they're like barely staying in it. It's bizarre. But Steven chimes in and says, hey, Josh, I was there last night for the epic comeback on Thursday. Harper should be MVP, no doubt. Do you like their chances to run the Braves down the final 2 weeks? Honestly, Steven, I'm conflicted. On one hand, I think the Phillies have the easier schedule, and they probably should chase down the Braves. The Braves got a much more difficult schedule the last 2 weeks, heading into their final matchup of the season. But on the other side, I just don't know if I believe in the Phillies. One game they blow out the Cubs, another game they lose to the Cubs. If they sweep the Mets this weekend, what do I do with that information? I don't know what this team is anymore. I feel like Harper is playing his rear off. He's doing everything he can. The guy's playing his guts and his heart and his soul for this team. But the rest of the team is so inconsistent. They're so exasperating. I don't know what to do. With the Phillies, I feel like they're just there, Steven. I really do. I feel like the Phillies are just, they're just hanging around. They're hanging around. And I guess I'm expecting them to disappoint me at some point. I'm anticipating disappointment somewhere along the way. It's kind of how I feel about the Philadelphia Phillies right now. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Couple texts coming in at 609-403-0973. Dan from EHT says, Landon Dickerson is the guy I'm looking forward to see play soon. Well, you might be waiting a little while, Dan from EHT, because I don't think Dickerson gets in unless somebody gets injured. I think that Dickerson was drafted to either be the heir apparent to Jason Kelce or the heir apparent to one of the guard positions, because I think that they realize that Kelce is only going to play for so much longer. Basically, Kelce goes into every offseason and reevaluates his situation. And considering all the injuries that Brandon Brooks has had, and I don't know how many years Brandon Brooks has left on his contract, but it's got to be up soon, right? Let me double check that over here for you guys, because with all the injuries he's had, how many years does he have left? Let's see here. He has, well, technically he has 4 years left, but it's not 4 years that you're stuck with him. It's actually only 2 more years that you're really stuck with him. Before the 2024 season, you can get rid of Brandon Brooks and save almost $14 million. So you're really only stuck with him for 2 more seasons. And of course, that money can be renegotiated and everything. But the final 2 years, the second to last year currently on his contract, it's not all guaranteed money. There's a huge prorated bonus, and there's a roster bonus that goes with it. It's a combined almost $6 million. So you could cut him before you have to pay him those bonuses, and you could save a total of almost $13.6 million, almost $14 million. And the final year of his deal is actually a dummy year, as they call it, just kind of a placeholder for them to be able to shuffle money around if they wanted to. So, Dickerson could replace Brooks. Maybe Kelce retires after this year, and they have a competition between Dickerson and Sayamalu to see who's going to be the center. Dan and EHT. People forget Sayamalu was actually projected coming out of college to be a center. He was not projected to be a guard. So, what if they move Dickerson to left guard, put Sayamalu at center? Now you got this mammoth of a human being, this powerhouse playing guard, just running around smashing people, right? So, there's a couple ways they go with it, but I don't think you're going to see Dickerson soon unless there's an injury. But I'm with you. I get the anticipation. The guy was arguably one of the best offensive linemen in college football last year. Joey D from Ventnor chimes in at 609-403-0973, says, it's very refreshing to see this Eagles organization adjust with the talent they have. Also, the in-game adjustments are a must in the NFL, and that's what I want to see. That's from Joey D. and Ventnor. Yeah, I don't think it can go without saying that this team is approaching the talent differently. And it's not a diss to Doug Peterson. I think Doug Peterson... All right, let me give my explanation for what Joey D said, and then I'll explain the Doug Peterson thing I've explained before. Dan's right. The Eagles are literally going into every game and saying, how can we support the talent that we have? How can we put them in the best position to be successful? And you see that Gannon is turning around and saying, all right, guys, here's the deal. Whoever's available, I'm going to put them on the field and I'm going to put them in position to be successful. I'm not going to go out there and try to make guys fit my system. My system is going to be built around them. Sirianni, the same thing. Sirianni says, I got Quez Watkins. I'm going to use him. I have Rager. I got Smith. I'm going to use them. I got Goddard and Ertz. I'm going to use them. I got this running back in Miles Sanders, who 2 years ago was among the best in the NFL in all-purpose yards, and last year had a down year. I'm going to use him better than Doug Peterson did. And again, it's not a diss on Peterson, but I think Peterson had two problems near the end of his tenure. Number one, I think Doug became too obsessed with play calling. Doug said at multiple press conferences that he would never give up play calling because he loves play calling. Doug said that he wouldn't want to do the job if he couldn't do play calling. And I think Doug was more interested in play calling at times than coaching up the players and managing his coaching staff. Number two, Doug became so loyal to the Jason Peters and Alshon Jeffrey. No matter how bad they played, no matter what was going on with the team, he would rather lean on those guys than run with the best player possible. And I think that was a huge problem for him at the end. And I think those two things, combined with the deterioration of the vision of the organization, the owner, Jeffrey Lurie, wanted to go one direction. Doug Peterson didn't. And I think at the end of the day, Doug just wasn't the right fit anymore. Personally, I think the Eagles could have handled it differently. I think it could have been done differently. I said this multiple times over the last several months, but for right here, right now, Sirianni, in my opinion, is the best man for the job moving forward. And if Doug Peterson and Carson Wentz would have handled their business differently in the last 18 months before they both were sent out of town, I think they both might still be here. One more message I want to squeeze in here before we hit the break. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank in Seattle City. Shout out to the random texter who texted in something for Mike Gill when Mike Gill isn't here. Also, I don't even know if Mike Gill's ever watched the show that you sent the meme from. Mike Gill's not a big TV watcher. So, I've seen King of the Hill, but I don't know if Mike Gill has. But I will let him know that you texted in that meme for him, texter. Listen, we have a very interesting listening audience. And I love you guys. I love the fact you guys engage. I love the fact that you guys are loyal listeners. But I'm just letting you know, contrary to popular opinion, Mike Gill is not here on the weekend. Very rarely does he come in. He came in a few times to cover for Billy Schweim in his show with him. To help Billy with the show. But aside from that, Mike's not here. So all I can do is pass along the message. It's like if you text the show now for something for Billy Schweim, like for example, Bill, somebody texted in after your show was done, their prediction for the show. All I can do is hand the message off to Billy. Put it in the bucket. Right. Lawrence from Delaware. Listen, man, your text came in after Billy signed off. So all I can do is hand it off to Billy. That's all I can do. Oh, they're in. Lawrence from Delaware is in. But I'm just saying, Guys, all I can do is hand the message off. What happens after that? It's up to somebody else. Josh Hennig here on Sports Bash Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Show being brought to you by Matt Blatt Nissan. The all-new Matt Blatt Nissan is now open on the Black Horse Pike in EHT next to Home Depot. Online at mattblattnissan.com. We'll start breaking down more of the Eagles 49ers game tomorrow. Of course, you can hear all the coverage starting with Billy Schwein in the locker room at 10 a.m. here on 97.3 ESPN, followed by Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call at 1 p.m. here on your radio home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN. We have a ridiculous triple header tomorrow because we got Eagles 49ers at 1, followed by the Cowboys-Chargers game, followed by Ravens-Chiefs at night. So literally, you can just leave your radio on all day. Whatever you're doing tomorrow, just leave the radio on all day. Why not? You can listen to all the football right here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Today on 97.3 ESPN, we have Notre Dame versus Purdue coming up, coverage at 1:30. And tonight, we have the whiteout game, Penn State hosting Auburn. And I told you guys earlier, Penn State is going to cover that spread because let me tell you something. Bo Nix has double the losses on the road than he has wins in his career. The dude is a miserable quarterback on the road. And now you're asking a quarterback who's already not a good road quarterback with a first-year head coach to go for the first time for Auburn ever to Happy Valley, to the whiteout game with 100,000 people screaming their head off, and you're telling me that Penn State is a -5.5 at home? I'm riding with that. Come on. Of course, you can hear the game right here on 97.3 ESPN tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. We'll get back to more of your messages coming up on the other side. You can direct message the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. Thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City. Text Sports 609-403-0973. And we are live on YouTube and Twitter. Just follow at 973 ESPN. I'm at Josh Hennig on Twitter, hanging out with you till 1:25 today.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, Notre Dame fans. This is Paul Burmeister. Join me, Ryan Harris, and Tony Simeone this Saturday as the Irish battle the Boilermakers of Purdue in South Bend. Coverage starts at 1:30 Eastern, and you can tune in right here on your home for Notre Dame football.
Listen every Saturday for the nation's top college football action on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's football station.
Why would someone looking for a mortgage at the Jersey Shore take a loan from a company in Detroit or North Carolina or some other far-off place? Online mortgages promise a lot but don't always deliver. First Bank of Sea Isle City knows the Jersey Shore. We are local lenders. We use local appraisers and provide in-house processing. We understand the unique obstacles of financing in Cape May County. Don't take a chance. Local banking is better. Let us guide you. First Bank of Sea Isle City.
Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
After a thrilling opening week in the NFL, week 2 is here, and all you need to do is log into FanDuel Sportsbook and claim your risk-free bet. That's right. FanDuel is giving all customers a risk-free bet. Pick any week 2 matchup. Eagles versus 49ers, Jets versus Patriots, Giants versus Washington. You choose what game you want to ride with your risk-free bet on FanDuel Sportsbook, the #1 rated sportsbook app in America. Their app is simple to use with unique, fun bet types and always-on promotions to let you get more action out of every game day. If you're new to FanDuel Sportsbook, sign up today with promo code Hennig to also receive a risk-free bet up to $1,000. That's promo code Hennig for new customers on FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older, play and present in New Jersey. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable site credit that expires in 7 days. Max refund $10. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how we'll get more of your messages in just a bit. I want to remind you guys, of course, my appearance here on 97.3 ESPN being brought to you by the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action in style this football season at the state-of-the-art FanDuel Sportsbook just off the boardwalk at Bally's Atlantic City. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Over on the video stream at 973 ESPN, couple messages popping in here. Jeff Bonapookie says UCLA all day, go Bruins. Listen, Jeff, that was my featured bet of the week on the Valley Sportsbook ad this week. We ran. I gave you guys Iowa versus Iowa State under last week. That nailed it. And here's the reason why I'm going with UCLA today. And the reason I'm going with them is because I think that Chip Kelly has got something going here. I don't know what exactly that is, but I think he's got something going, Jeff. And, this game, when you break it down, you realize that it got up to 11.5. But then a bunch of public money started coming in on Fresno State. So now it's down to 10.5. And the reason why that's significant is because there are certain people who are not using their resources properly. I think people misinterpret matchups sometimes. And I think that UCLA wins by 2 touchdowns. That's why I do like the minus 10.5, minus 11.5, wherever you're getting it from. Because here's the problem. Fresno State, yes, they're 2-1. And yes, they played Oregon tough. But that was an Oregon team in their very first game of the year. Fresno had played the week before and crushed a miserable team in UConn. Okay? So they went to Oregon and they lost 31-24. So part of that was because Fresno had an entire first game of the season under their belt. Oregon, the first game of the year, the offense was still adapting. Joe Moorhead is only in his second year, I believe, up there in Oregon. You got a new quarterback starting this year for Oregon. And then last week, Fresno won 63-10 against Cal Polytech. So their 2 wins this year, and they scored 108 points in those 2 games, are against 2 of the worst college football teams on planet Earth. And I'm supposed to think that they're going to cover a double-digit spread against a team in UCLA that crushed a very, very average team in Hawaii and a top 25 ranked LSU team? And by the way, this game's at home. UCLA has not been on the road at all this year. This is the 3rd straight game they have at home. And you're telling me that Fresno is going to come in there and cover that? That's a good joke. Oh, my goodness. It's a good joke. We'll get to more of the football stuff in just a minute. But I got to get on my soapbox for a hot second. All right. So I told you guys earlier in the week, one of our losses last week in the bet picks was USC completely getting crushed by Stanford. And then a couple days later, they fire Clay Helton. And I've heard a lot of analysts coming out this week and talking about, this is what they need. This is who they should hire. And I just want to put a huge timeout on all that. There's one thing that a majority of these analysts are forgetting, okay? Whether you're watching ESPN, Fox Sports, the Pac-12 network, listening to podcasts from The Athletic, whatever your platform is, right? I got a beef with all these guys. This USC job comes down to one thing: recruiting. You don't win without talent. You can't win at USC unless you got the talent. Guys like CJ Stroud, who went to Ohio State. Guys like DJ Uiagalelei, who went to Clemson. Guys like JT Daniels, who was at USC and then transferred out and went to Georgia. They are all from Southern California. When Pete Carroll had USC on the roll, everyone wanted to go to be a Trojan because they knew that if they won at USC, they would be superstars. Matt Leinart, Reggie Bush, Carson Palmer. And you look at that defense they had. Clay Matthews, okay? They had star power, okay? Lendell White was a stud in college football. They had elite offensive linemen. They had NFL caliber defensive players. And it was because Pete Carroll ran around the California area for the most part and said, come to USC and be a star. To me, I don't think that guys like Luke Fickell or James Franklin or even Urban Meyer have what it takes to recruit at USC. You need a guy who's got one of two things. Either he is a great recruiter who could put together a great staff, or you need a big NFL name like Pete Carroll was years ago. I know people are like, well, Pete Carroll wasn't that big of a name. Listen, he was an NFL name. He coached in the NFL for 2 decades before he got to USC. Not a full 2 decades, but from the 80s until the late 90s. Over the course of 2 decades, he coached. He was defensive coordinator in the NFL, and then he became a head coach. He goes to college, and he becomes the Energizer Bunny. You need a guy who's going to recruit. I've heard the name Eric Bieniemy. Maybe he's the guy. I don't know. But whoever USC picks, it has to be someone who convinced that these stars, these 5-star prospects in Southern California, to stop going to the East Coast, stay in California. They better be careful because UCLA is going to have a good year. They're going to try to steal all of their potential guys. Josh Hennig, 97.3 ESPN FM.
Tonight on Compass Media Network's coverage of NCAA football, it's a primetime cross-conference matchup from Happy Valley as the Penn State Nittany Lions host the Auburn Tigers. Hi, it's Greg Daniels. Join Tiki Barber and me for all the action as Bo Nix and the Tigers look for a tough road victory over Sean Clifford and the Nittany Lions. It's Auburn and Penn State. If it's college football, it's right here.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7 p.m.
Chicky and Pete's. Much has changed, but one thing hasn't changed. Chicky and Pete's on game day, in person or game watching at home. Call in for Chicky and Pete's takeout or delivery with DoorDash or Uber Eats. Enjoy all your game day Chickies food favorites and ice cold draft beer to go. Game on at Chickies and Pete's.
Josh Hennig here, second hour of the show, 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Glad to have you guys on board the show today. Get you some more analysis of some of the college football games later today, as well as the NFL games tomorrow. Also, my keys for the Eagles as well. We got a bunch of messages to get to as well that have been popping in throughout the show. Of course, you can direct message the show through the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Text board is open 609-403-0973. And, of course, you can message the show as you watch us on YouTube and Twitter. I'll get some of your guys' comments in just a moment. I just want to remind you of some of the news throughout the day so far. Eagles are locking up Josh Sweat. It is a 3-year contract extension worth up to potentially $43 million, $26.3 guaranteed. So now him and Josh Sweat, two of the, you could argue, steals of the 2018 NFL draft, are now two of your most important players, and you got them both locked up for multiple years. So you got that going for the Eagles right there. Also, as we talked about yesterday on 97.3 ESPN, 49ers have ruled out Dre Greenlaw. He's having surgery on his lower abdominal / groin area. So he will be out for about 6 to 8 weeks. So one of their more important linebackers in terms of their formations is going to be out. Also, the cornerback Mosley is doubtful. Verrett is already done for the year. So the 49ers are very banged up in their secondary. So keep an eye on that situation as we move forward as well. It's a big reason why I told you guys yesterday. I told you guys earlier on the Billy Schweim's locker room here on 97.3 ESPN. He'll be back on the air tomorrow at 10 a.m. with Pete Thompson. But I told you guys earlier, I told you yesterday, told you the day before that, these 49er injuries are saying to me at least that the 49ers are a banged up team and they're going to have trouble. Remember, Raheem Mostert done for the year. You lose a little depth. We know that Kyle Shanahan's going to run the ball. He's going to get those yards. He's going to go out there and get it done. So, to me, when I look at the Eagles game, the key factors are this. Can the Eagles make the 49ers one-dimensional? Because you know the 49ers are a team that is going to run the ball at a certain level of efficiency. So how do you limit them? Do you let them run the ball and play a bend but don't break defense, similar to what you ran in Atlanta the week before? Or do you dare them to beat you with the passing game and lean on your defense to stop them there? That's, to me, the first key. The second key is, how does the Eagles' offensive line do versus a better defense this week? There's no denying that even with all the injuries the 49ers have in the secondary and the guys who are banged up on the front line, the 49ers defense overall has more talent than Atlanta does. So what does that mean? Well, we're going to find out. How does Jordan Mailata and Lane Johnson hold up against the freak talent that is in the 49ers D-line? Nick Bosa is supposedly 100% healthy. If Armstead and Kinlaw play, neither one of them are 100%. So how does the Eagles' offensive line slow down the 49ers defense? Those are the two biggest keys in the game to me. And like I told you guys before, I'm riding with the Eagles. I told you last week I was riding with the Eagles. I'm riding with them again this Sunday because it's at home. The first game at the link with those fans. It's going to juice the players up. They're going to be fueled by the crowd. And I think the 49ers are just going to have too many injuries. It's not going to be a blowout. It's not going to be a decisive game, I don't think. But I do think that when you have the injuries the 49ers do, and don't forget, a first-time defensive coordinator in DeMeco Ryans, a guy who has really only been coaching for a little while. And I'm not trying to demerit him, but there is something to be said for the fact that Ryans has really only been a full-time coach for the last 3 years. Jonathan Gannon has actually been coaching longer than Ryans, and they're almost the same age. DeMeco's been on the 49ers staff since 2017. He was previously the inside linebackers coach before becoming the defensive coordinator. So he wasn't even a full position coach. He was almost like an assistant position coach at that point. And before that, he was a quality control coach. So while he knows the 49ers system, his long-term viability as a play caller is still in question. Whereas Gannon, he started his career with Mike Zimmer. He mentored under him. Then he went to Eberflus over there in Indianapolis. So he got two very interesting coaches, two aggressive coaches, two tough guys he was mentoring. DeMeco Ryans only worked under Robert Saleh. And now Saleh's gone. And you saw that the 49ers defense gave up over 30 points last week to the Lions. They played a prevent, I'm going to put it on cruise control defense in the second half. Can the 49ers defense handle the Eagles offense? It's something to be asked. So I'm going Eagles tomorrow. I think the home advantage combined with the 49ers injuries is where they're going to go. And I'll give you my picks for the rest of the slate in just a bit here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, football analysis with yours truly, Josh Hennig, being brought to you by the folks over at FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's Casino in Atlantic City. Bet all the action and style this football season at the state-of-the-art FanDuel Sportsbook just off the boardwalk at Bally's, Atlantic City. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. A little update on one of the games that we are watching this weekend. So right now, Indiana leads 7-0 halfway through the second quarter. And Cincinnati's offense has looked really poor. Okay. I feel like people are confusing good defense with poor offensive execution. Indiana has gotten great field possession and multiple possessions in this game because Cincinnati's offense can't stop committing penalties. They're confused. They look out of sorts. I don't know what's going on, but Cincinnati's defense needs to lock it down to keep in this game because they have 49 total yards. Does their offense. Their defense got to figure something out to help them out because this offense looks completely lost and confused. And for a veteran play caller in Desmond Ridder and a group of mostly returning starters on the offensive side of the ball, Cincinnati looks lost in this game. So they better figure that out soon. A couple of messages that came in during the break I wanted to get to. Folks consuming the show, again, whether you're listening on your radio in the car, you're consuming us through 973ESPN.com, at 973 ESPN on Twitter and YouTube. Of course, you can download the 973 ESPN mobile app, direct message to the show. Thanks to First Bank of Seattle City. And listen to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, Game Night with yours truly, Josh Hennig, the Locker with Billy Schweim, all on the 973 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And of course, text board is open, 609-403-0973. A couple messages coming in here about college football. I saw that Jeff and C were talking about Bama and Florida. And this is a game that I have no side in this game because there are two variables in that game that are going to decide it. Number one, Alabama has multiple injuries to important players on defense. That defense is now going into the swamp, going to Florida. So now you're asking some younger players to have to step up in a difficult environment. Is that defense going to be able to hang on? Now, the last thing I saw was 14.5 were the odds makers number, okay, for Alabama on the road. That 14.5 seems like a prime opportunity for what is known as the backdoor cover. Now, for those who may not know all the particulars of the details, the backdoor cover is when a team late in a game scores and you're no longer going to get the spread win anymore, okay? Basically, that's the easiest way to explain it. And for this game, the public money is going heavy Alabama. 64% on the spread. I got to tell you guys, for a spread to only move half a point and for it to be valued at minus 110 for Bama tells me that even the line people are nervous about this number because they're not giving you a lot of value. If they weren't nervous about the number, they give you some crazy value number. But Florida is just plus 102 on the underdog. Again, read between the lines. So here's the deal. I think that the play in this game is not the size, because I could totally see a scenario where Alabama gets out to some sort of 42-14 at one point. And then Florida starts scoring points late in the game and they cover. That's the one thing to keep in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is we don't know the status of Florida's quarterbacks. Because we know that Emory Jones is the starter, but Anthony Richardson has come into every single game this year. Anthony Richardson came up with a hamstring issue at the end of their last game. Meanwhile, Emory Jones, who has been the starter each week, has not been great. He has 4 interceptions this year versus 2 touchdowns. Now, the word out of Florida is that Jones understands the offense better and they can run more plays with him under center. But the problem is that Anthony Richardson has been the more dynamic player. And I got to wonder if Richardson is good to go and Jones has a rough first half. Does Dan Mullins in Florida ride the freshman in the second half because they know Jones hasn't been that great? And does Richardson come in and just run the offense? Look what happened with Stanford. Stanford was getting crushed by Kansas State most of that game. Then they brought in the backup quarterback for the fourth quarter, and they finally scored. Then that guy started the next week versus USC, and they crushed UFC's soft defense. Crushed them. So I got to wonder, could the same thing happen in the Florida game? So that's why, to me, if you're going to make a play on this game, you take the over 60 in this game. I think you're going to see a lot of points scored in that game, Florida versus Alabama. I think Alabama's defense is going to have a little struggle because of the health issues, and I think that it's in Florida, so Florida will get some points. But think about it. If Alabama wins 42-20, guess what? It's the over. Doesn't matter. 24 points for Florida, 48 for Alabama. You're still hitting the over. There's a variety of ways this game can go. Remember, Florida, last year in the SEC championship game, they covered the backdoor spread in that game too. And that was with a better Alabama roster than this year. So if Florida backdoor covered last year, what tells me they can't do it again this year? We'll give you some more analysis of the college football and the NFL this weekend coming up next right here on Game Night with yours truly, Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app. It's free thanks to First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's College Football Saturday on 97.3 ESPN.
Hi, Notre Dame fans. This is Paul Burmeister. Join me, Ryan Harris, and Tony Simeone this Saturday as the Irish battle the Boilermakers of Purdue in South Bend. Coverage starts at 1:30 Eastern, and you can tune in right here on your home for Notre Dame football.
Listen every Saturday for the nation's top college football action on 97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's football station.
It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
AJ, the trade-in man, is at it again. This month, get $2,000 cash back, 0% for 60 months, and AJ will give you top dollar for your trade. So why waste money repairing or replacing worn-out parts, tires, or wiper blades? Bring it to AJ at Matt Blatt Nissan today. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Blatt Nissan will get you released. The value of your current vehicle has skyrocketed, so cash in your vehicle now and drive home in a new Nissan today with peace of mind. Because only Matt Blatt Nissan has a 4-day love it or leave it return policy. Worried about your credit? Don't sweat it. We finance your future, not your past. All new Nissan Murano, 0 down, 0 interest for 60 months. MattBlattNissan.com. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Rate qualifications exist. Not all will qualify. 0% APR financing based on $1,667 per thousand borrowed. Offers can't be combined. Murano VIN. MC 134-385. Call 877-289-6670 or go to MattBlattNissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 10/3/2021. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is Sports Bash Saturday with Josh Hennig, live from the Matt Blatt Kia Studios. Here's Josh Hennig.
All right, Josh Hennig, final segment here. We got Notre Dame versus Purdue coming up next right here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, this is a game that if you insist on betting, stay away from. This Purdue-Notre Dame game screams just very fishy. Okay, I'm telling you, stay away. It's a -110 for Purdue on the spread and a -105 for Notre Dame on the spread. That should tell you alone that is a stay away, stay home, don't touch it with a 10-foot pole game. All right, couple NFL games tomorrow I'm keeping an eye on. The Vikings are going to be without Anthony Barr, Everson Griffin, and Eric Kendricks. They've all been ruled out. So it looks like the Cardinals should be a great play tomorrow. No Josh Jacobs for the Raiders, and the Raiders, according to reports, are partying very hard after the game. Short week going to the Steelers. I like the Steelers. Bills and Dolphins. The under 47.5 looks very appealing. And if you want to do a teaser, Bills and Dolphins under combined with Pats on the spread at the Jets. That's a great teaser parlay for you this weekend. Told you guys I like the Eagles, also like the Chargers at home versus the banged up Cowboys. And then Monday football, Lions, Packers over 48.5. Looking very tasty right now. I'm Josh Hennig at Josh Hennig on Twitter. I'll catch you Monday here on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the radio home for Philadelphia Eagles football. It's week 2 of the 2021 season. Tomorrow, hosting the 49ers at the Link.
First and 10, San Francisco at the 25. It's intercepted down the far sideline and in for an Eagles touchdown. Alex Singleton.
Pre-game coverage begins at noon. Maryland Mike called all the action starting at 1. This is where the Eagles play. 97.3 ESPN. South Jersey's Eagles Station.